BMW has updated its M3 and M4 performance models in Australia with a new competition pack. Now, the standard car was already boisterous on its own, so is adding more power and more performance the right thing to do? Well, I've got a track behind me and there's only one way to find out.
The 5th generation M3 and M4 have never really wanted for more power since their introduction in 2014. However, that has been one of the major focal points of the new $5,000 competition pack, available on sedan, coupe and convertible variants. Power from the Beamer's twin-turbo 6-cylinder engine has been ratcheted up 14 kilowatts to 331 kilowatts overall. Torque remains unchanged at 550 Newton meters, though the peak figure is available for longer in the rev range than before. The increase in outputs help enable a faster 0 to 100 time of 4 seconds flat, 0.1 seconds faster than the donor car, and line ball with the rivaling Mercedes AMG C63S.
So I've had about 2 or 3 years to digest the new M3 and M4, the 6-cylinder engine, the new naming structure, and the slightly polarising light switch-like handling. And it hasn't impressed everyone. I mean, to be honest, you either love it or hate it. It is just simply that on or off in terms of this car's overall powertrain and driving dynamics.
Along with more power, the competition pack addresses some of those on-off traits with a recalibrated rear differential, new suspension and retuned stability control settings, finished off by wider and larger diameter forged wheels.
Now this is the point where BMW says the M3 and the M4 are a little bit more neutral at the limit. It's the same electronic differential, but it's being slightly differently tuned. And I've got to say, it does feel more measured and progressive, especially out on a skid pan. As a result, the M3 feels far more neutral on the limit. Instead of sending large slabs of torque to the outside wheel, it feels much more measured and progressive in its overall power application. And the result is a car that is much more cohesive than the regular model. Now, as before, this thing has all the hallmarks of the regular M3, so lateral grip is just superb. I mean, you can go through corners that we're going through at the moment, up towards 200 kilometers an hour, and the car just feels so neutral and poised, despite all that power at the rear wheels. Tip the car in sharply and it just holds the same position. What's that? 150 kilometers an hour. It does it with ease. The steering, look, it's still an acquired taste. I've got to be honest, it's taken a little bit of time behind the wheel to really adjust to it. Sometimes the overall input into the car can become a little bit confusing. You don't know how much lock you need to apply to really dial the car in. But I tell you what, once you do get your head around it, it is a lot of fun. Now, in the same way that the M3 and M4 carry over all the same positive traits, there are still a couple of negatives. One thing is road noise. It's really prevalent inside this car, particularly on coarse chip surfaces. And I think if anything, the extra wheel diameter and overall width has just added to that problem. The other negative is the ride. There's no two ways about it. By making the car sportier, BMW have compromised a little bit of that ride comfort. So I would say where the old car was in sport mode, that's pretty much comfort mode in the new car. And as you go up the chain, it just gets harsher and harsher. In Sport Plus, the adaptive dampers are unapologetically firm. It's great for a racetrack, but not that ideal for the open road.
There are a few other telltale signs with the BMW away from the track. It still feels like a handful on greasy twisting roads with a particularly sensitive throttle and stability control teaming. The other caveat with the additional power is that it doesn't materialise until past 5,500 RPM. In every other sense, the $5,000 is money well spent, particularly if you plan on taking your Executive Express to a closed circuit.
So summing up, more power, more performance and a little bit more noise as well. Is this the car that the M3 and the M4 should have always been? Well, arguably so. It does have a little bit more road noise and the suspension is a little bit more sporty, but out on the road, I'll tell you what, this thing really does play to its strengths.